That's a big fish.
Are you kidding? Oh my God!
Big mama came out. This is the biggest fish I've ever killed bowfishing.
Sun's out.
Buff's out, baby. Good job. What a night. Right there in the rock. Look, there's a big one. Nice shot, Taylor.
Get him, Smitty! Doubled up, baby!
Hey!
Good shot, man.
There we go. We got two of them now. He's a good gator.
He's a monster.
That's a good gator.
Wow. Love bowfishing.
Come here. Time for a free boat ride in the AMS boat. Hey! Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bowfishing Buzz presented by AMS Bowfishing and
Mega Mouth Bowfishing as well.
My name is Matthew and I'm here with my good buddy D. Schmitty. How you doing today, Schmitty?
I'm doing good. I tell you what, Matt, every morning we wake up to come to work. I'm in at 5, you're in at 6:30, I think.
Yep.
But those mornings, they're starting to be a little chill to the air, dipping down in those low 50s.
Yep, there's definitely a smell
Yeah, the air's a little crisp.
of autumn in the air.
Yep. It
That
gets me
means-
excited.
Oh yeah, it's a great changeover. You know, it's a season change. You know, you can definitely tell it in the evenings. A lot of fog right now.
Oh, it's crazy.
in the mornings.
I know.
You know, a lot of fog in the valleys and in the ridges. Really beautiful. You know, so you get some of them sunrises that are coming up, and
Oh,
there's
yeah.
fog in the valleys, and you got the leaves. Of course, are all green yet, but won't be long.
Yeah, that'll be here pretty soon.
Yeah.
Faster than what we'll think. I
Yep.
can't believe it's the 30th of August. It seemed like yesterday we flipped the calendar to August. I cannot believe it's over.
Flipping it to September, now,
Yeah,
baby.
that's just crazy. Crazy.
Yep.
But
But thank you all for joining us on this episode here, episode 44.
44.
We're at 44. Wow. It only took us 4 years to get there.
Yeah,
But we're there.
Yep. It seems like we started doing this a year ago, and we're 4 years in.
Yeah.
That blows my mind. That means we're having fun with it.
We're having a good time, and we hope all you enjoy listening to the Bowfishing Buzz podcast as well.
Yeah. Yep.
And a lot of spaces you can listen to us. You can listen to us on your favorite, podcast device. Mm-hmm. You can go to Carbon TV. We've got our podcast on there as well. And then we also have our video podcast on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, and I know we've said it before, Matt. Well, the routine here is what we're going to do here. We'll record this podcast, and then you go over to your office and you start editing that immediately. And sometimes I'll bop in and I'll see your timeline in Premiere with the clips that you're editing, and I get a headache just looking at that timeline. That is a doozy of a timeline. And it's really cool, the detail that you can show through the video portion. Don't get me wrong, I love listening to a podcast, but when you have a video to go along with it to kind of give you that in-depth view of exactly what we're talking about, that's really cool. So if you guys haven't checked them out yet, I know sometimes you don't have it's easy to put your earphones in and listen to a podcast, but you guys have time to go check out those video podcasts. You won't be disappointed.
Right. And that's the hardest part about doing the video podcast is your clips are so much smaller than doing like an episode for like Carbon TV.
Right.
Because I'm trying to match what you're watching to what we're talking about, and it changes so quick.
Right. So you're saying we can't go off on random tangents as much as we would like to, huh? We got to keep it
It'd
nice
be
and
a
in
lot
line.
easier if we didn't do that. Yeah.
That's what makes it fun to listen to, though.
But yeah, so like I said, autumn is in the air. Now is a excellent time to get out there in those waters. Those waters are cooling down. A lot of those weedy, places that you couldn't see through in the past, and June, July, August are starting to open up again. And those weeds are starting to die. You can get in there and see some of that stuff. Now's a great time to get out there and get an absolute giant.
Yeah.
Well, they move back in.
I think we talked about it in the last podcast.
We
Matt.
did.
September 17th was the day
Yep, we shot a big
that,
one.
you guys tangled into a mega
Yep.
here a couple of years ago. So,
Yep.
yeah, definitely still fish to shoot around
Absolutely.
here, especially, down south, absolutely. But up here, it gets a little colder, a little quicker, but there's still a lot of opportunity out there.
Right.
So, and I talked to you about this, Matt, what we're going to do in today's podcast. We've been going pretty hard here as far as the Carbon TV episodes. Matt, you've been gone. I mean, you're going a lot on trips, filming trips. You were just out in Delaware. We had Corey on the podcast last episode.
Yep.
What we're going to do today, Matt and I are each going to share 3 highlights from this year and you had a lot more experiences on the water than I did, but just 3 of the opportunities, the experiences that stick out in our mind that we really remember, that we enjoyed, and we're just going to kind of talk about those 3 highlights. Each of us will just kind of go in depth.
I still have no idea what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, Matt's got a playlist of 15 different things that he could talk about. We'd be here till 3 this afternoon. But
so when I start talking, it's going to just come right out of the top of my head, whatever I think about.
That's good.
I have no notes, nothing. I'm just going to wing it, maybe.
Yeah, that's totally fine. That's what these are for.
And that's how I usually do bowfishing trips too. We just wing it.
Yeah.
We have a destination and where we kind of want to go, but just wing it.
Right. Well, and another thing, too, you go on these trips, you drive down, just for example, you drive down 11 hours to Kentucky. Mm-hmm. Just on the trips that I've gone on with you, you can have a schedule laid out. We're going to shoot fish here. Then the next day we're going to do this. We're going to do that. Well, you may as well throw that out the window.
Right.
Because the fish aren't going to follow your schedule. Mm-mm. So you're probably going to end up doing some things that you didn't initially plan, go to different places. Log some long days.
Absolutely.
So, we'll just be off the top here. If it's all right with you, Matt, I'll start just to kind of
go ahead, Schmitty.
Get us going here.
You let them roll. We're going to talk about our top 3
highlights from this season.
Top 3 highlights from this season. Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
So I am going to turn the page all the way back to, I think it was the end of March into April when we went on our big road trip, Matt.
Yep.
Kentucky and Missouri.
Mm-hmm. And Tennessee.
Yep. We did all kinds of cool stuff on that trip. But there is one small, and I honestly, if you had to guess what I'm going to say about this, I don't think that you would guess the specific highlight that I'm going to pick out of that trip. I'm not going to just say that whole trip is a highlight. There's one specific day or two in there that I really enjoyed while I was doing it, and then I've thought about it a lot since then for a couple different reasons. But when we were down there, Matt,
I'm going to take a guess.
Okay.
I'm not going to guess, but I'm just curious if I know what you're going to talk about.
Okay. The thing that stuck out to me that we did it for probably a day and a half, roughly, was when we were shooting fish at the dam.
That's exactly.
Was that what you were going to say?
That's exactly what I was thinking about. Yeah.
I think, and excuse me, with all my other trips down there, I don't think I've shot fish off the dam before. I've never done that before, or down on the
not off the
dam, no,
down on the rocks,
down on the rocks where you can shoot. I know we pulled up there. We were having a hard time finding fish. We were trying to get on spawning buffs,
right? And
that
just never happened.
That whole deal was just a bizarre spawning. The whole thing was kind of goofy this year.
Yeah.
So you and I were like, well, we gotta let's go. Just like you said before, we're winging it. Well, what can we do? We gotta shoot some fish, get some content, make some videos. So we went down to below the dam one day, and I remember I walked up. There's a road down there, and forgive me, I don't know which specific one that we were at that day.
Kentucky Dam.
Mm-hmm. You kind of get up to the ledge where the road ends. There's a sidewalk, and you can look down into the water. Mm-hmm. And I know you were kind of like, well, let's just check it out. Let's just see what it's all about.
Right.
And I climbed up on top of those rocks, and I looked down, and I'm looking down. I mean,
a pretty good distance.
100 feet. Mm-hmm. It's way down there. It's a trek to go through the rocks to get there.
Yeah.
And I remember standing there and being like, oh my gosh, there were fish everywhere.
Yeah.
There were fish everywhere. And so we grabbed all of our stuff. We went right down there. And I remember I was still probably 10 yards away from down where we wanted to be. And I'm like, oh my God, there's a nice grassy right there. And I shot that grassy. That was instant.
And you shot that grassy, and I wasn't even.
No, you were still at the truck.
Loading up, also gearing up on top, and you shot that grassy already.
Yeah. So we proceeded to go down there, and we kind of shot some silvers there right away, and then we kind of ended up bighead hunting.
Yeah.
You kind of sit and wait and try to find yourself a bighead, and that was so fun. And part of the reason why I liked it is because you look around you, it's very easily accessible place for people to go shoot a good amount of fish.
Correct.
You look around, you got kids with bows that, after school or whatever they're doing, they can go right down there and have fun shooting fish. That was really cool to see that.
People are fishing.
They're
fishing right down there below that too.
There's boats that go out there. It's kind of like a community hole where everyone can kind of go down there and have a fun, good time. Mm-hmm. Seeing those kids down there, it was so cool to shoot fish in that way. that we were doing. Like you said, that's like those generators bubble up those fish and they get brought up to the surface.
Pushes them up.
Shooting those bigheads, we were taking all kinds of videos and everything. And then when you had the Amish family come over, and they took those fish, those Amish kids were just in awe of the whole situation. That was really cool to see.
That was cool.
Pretty soon we were down there shooting fish, and we had a couple kids down there. This Amish group was down there, and we look up towards where we came from. Here there was a bunch of people just watching us.
Yeah.
Yep. And that was just a really cool experience. It puts a smile on my face every time I think about it.
Yeah.
And another little tidbit of that whole deal down there was, I remember you shot at a fish and you missed a fish. It was a long shot, and you turned to me. I was probably 15 yards away.
Oh, yeah.
And the look on your face, Matt, I had not seen that look before. And you said, Schmitty, I just shot at something so big, and you put your arms around it. You said it was this big, and he's holding his arms out as if it was a big tree trunk.
It was, it got pushed up, and it was. When it comes up in those boils, you have a split second to decide to see it. And then another split second, it's gone.
Yeah. You got to be quick on the draw.
Yeah, and it was big.
Yeah.
It was a giant.
And I didn't see it, but I did not have to because of the look that was on your face. Yeah, I knew right then. I was like, holy cow. Okay.
Giant bighead.
That's crazy. You ended up calling Dennis. Dennis came down there, and it kind of slowed down a little bit after he got down there. Yeah. But I remember him. He came up to me after a while of trying to shoot fish. He goes, boy, he said, I ain't as quick as I used to be. He said, I'm not as quick in the draw. You got to be on top of things here. And you do. You almost have to sit,
Yeah.
Fingers ready to draw.
Yep.
Because that is a split second of time that you have to, capitalize on that opportunity.
That's when he brought his dog down there.
Yes, and the dog was licking the fish. Every time you'd bring one in, the dog would go nuts.
It would go crazy. It was like pointing out fish for us.
Yeah.
From the bank.
And a little dog, too. Yeah. Little dog running around, just having the time of his life. But I think, did it jump in the water at one point? And we were like, oh, boy.
It jumped in the water, and the current took it down. Dennis had to go running down the rocks to go get him.
Yeah. Yeah, that dog is having the time of his life. But just a accumulation of all those things. When I think about that experience, I think about it fondly. So that is my first highlight of this year.
All right. Oh, it's my turn now?
It is your turn, yes. We'll go every other.
All right, every other. Well, one of my highlights, I guess, that I really enjoyed, and being able to spend it with somebody that has really kind of taught me the ropes on bow fishing was Dennis Redden, of course. And one of my most memorable moments, I guess, of this year was I was back down there in June for the Jared Ashmore Youth Tournament.
Yep.
And one night, Dennis and I went out, and I ended up shooting that giant bighead. I can't remember what it weighed anymore.
What was
72?
Was it? Okay.
I think it was 72 pounds. But to be able to shoot that with Dennis and to get some of that on footage as well, because it just seems like every time Dennis and I are together, we always end up shooting a pretty good fish.
Something good happens.
I was with Dennis when he shot his biggest bighead, his very first giant bighead. Be able to dams, probably back in 2014, probably somewhere around there. And then the next year we shot some giants. But the thing is you can always, I shouldn't say you can always, but you can go out and you can shoot those big fish. All right. But when you can get those on camera.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's huge.
That's even more, I want to say, rewarding. Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because, and Dennis filmed me shooting that 87-pound buff.
Yep. And the footage, spectacular.
Absolutely. We had the kids in the boat.
Yep. Daytime shooting.
And then for me to go down there again this June, and I shoot my biggest bighead with Dennis in the boat again, was definitely a highlight for me this year. And to be able to spend that with, like I said, somebody that's kind of brought me up through the bow fishing learning curve, as you will.
Yeah.
And it's just, like I said, it's a memory that I will probably never forget. Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
It was such a beautiful night. It was just, on the river, it was just dead calm, and it was just gorgeous. A lot of good times And like I said, to do that with a camera in your hand when you're shooting big fish is something that's even more rewarding.
Yeah. Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong here, Matt, but just from being in front of the camera when we're on trips and stuff, as much as you'd like to think that there's a nagging pressure in the back of your mind when you're on camera that you want to hit this fish.
Yeah.
We got to find fish. We got to get this done.
Right.
And when it all comes together like that, the feeling is just overwhelming. Like, oh my gosh, we did it.
Right.
Oh, we did it. This is going to be spectacular on an episode. And, as much as the experience is the most important part of it, boy, it's nice to be able to capture some of that footage.
Right.
You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yep. And that's why it doesn't always plan out that way. This year, like you
yeah.
said, when you and I were down there end of March, 1st of April, we went down there for the bus spawn. It didn't happen.
No.
And now you're like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
What are we going to do?
Yep.
Work's depending on us to get this footage.
Right.
We got to do something. And then you look back at 2014 when I was down there, didn't even think about the bus spawn. And I was down there with Dennis, and we hit the bus spawn, and we got some amazing footage on that trip.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, and it's rewarding when it does for sure.
Absolutely.
So that's one of my highlights is the big Bighead we got back in June.
Cool.
Down there this year.
Cool. Cool. So my second highlight this year, Matt, is not actually a physical bow fishing experience for us. It was an experience for other people that we catered to. And that was the AMS Big 20.
There you go. Bingo.
That we had this year. If you guys followed along with us, I'm sure you heard some of the trials and tribulations of what we all had to go through in a very short period of time
Right.
to make sure that the tournament still went smoothly. Yeah. Our previous location that we bank on using every single year, it works great for what we do. Here it's under construction. We find out, 3 weeks before the tournament?
2 weeks.
2 weeks before the tournament. And
Yeah.
it just happened. One of the employees here was driving past and came back and said, hey, the fairgrounds is like just a bunch of dirt.
Right. You better go check that out.
Yeah. Yep. So all of a sudden our venue is gone. Oh my gosh, what do we do? We can't rent a place out. It's 2 weeks out in the middle of May. People are having events. Everything's booked up. And it was just really cool to me seeing everyone here pull together. And we managed to have it right here at the shop.
Yep.
And it went so smooth. It went better, I think, than anyone was even expecting it to go.
For sure.
Everyone came and shot. The tournament went fantastic. Everything was good as far as we had the food with the raffle prizes. We had the parking figured out. So that's my second highlight. Just being able to witness all of us in a time of kind of crisis, because it was a little bit like, we got 100 boats coming down here, and now all of a sudden we're going to change our location. What in the world are we going to do? Where do you park 100 rigs?
Right.
It's not just 100 vehicles, it's 100 trucks with boats on the back, big boats. So we had it here at the shop, and I really like that experience every year with the AMS crew. We're kind of, we're like a small family. Well, not small. We're like a big family here, We can all rely on each other, and that was really cool to see everyone pull together, and it kind of went off without a hitch.
It did.
It was really cool, and I think it went so well that we might be thinking about having it here in the future as well.
Possibly. It was, like you said, kind of like a well-oiled machine.
It was. Yep.
Everybody knows their job role. Everybody knows what to do on this day and what to do on that day and what to do afterwards. And it's kind of like...
Yep. We send off the boats Saturday night. Everyone shows up at 4:30, 5 o'clock the next morning. We get everything ready for them. That was really cool. So I guess that was a quick one, but that's definitely my second highlight. When I think back about that, I was telling people about it outside of work, how well it went, and they're like, oh my gosh, that would be crazy to have to reschedule something like that so late notice. Big 20 this year, AMS Big 20. That was my second highlight.
Cool. That's a good one, Schmitty.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, I'm going to go with my second highlight for this year was back in Kentucky in June, down there for the Jared Ashmore Youth Tournament. But it was the days leading up to the Jared Ashmore that I really enjoyed.
Okay.
I have been taking out Dennis's grandson, Cody, since he was 7 years old.
And how old is he now?
16.
Okay. Wow.
All right. So I've been taking him out since he was, like I said, just a little kid. He'd fall asleep in the boat, on the way back. And, they'd jump in the truck when we get back to the boat landing and sleep all the way to grandpa's house, you know, and you know, all they did is jump on the boat, shoot fish, and then sleep.
That's kind of like what I do still.
And you're 23,
24 years old.
24 years old.
Yep.
So that's how, you know, I remember Cody in his younger days. We'd get back to the Jared Ashmore in the mornings, and he'd be, you know, ready to fall asleep and stuff and whatnot. But so I was back down there again this year, and Dennis was busy. He had stuff going on. He couldn't be around, so it was just myself down there. Well, he arranged for Cody to kind of come along with me and join me on the water and stuff like that there.
Sure.
And what the cool part about it is now Cody's 16. Now when we get to the boat launch, he'd be out there taking the straps off the boat and unhooking the boat and stuff like that there. He'd jump in the truck.
Oh, I was just going to say, does he back you down?
He'd back me down in the water. We'd go out, we'd shoot fish, and it's just, you know, it's so different when you're trying to talk to a 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old on the boat versus talking to somebody that's 16.
Sure.
You know, you can have a little bit more conversation-wise like that there. You can kind of jab each other a little bit more on missing a fish here and there and helping each other out. You see a little more excitement now also. And I really enjoyed being on the water with Cody because we were below a dam one day and we shot a bunch of bigheads. I went out on the lakes with him and we filmed him shooting some grass carp. And I had to do some photo shots with him. And it was just really enjoyable to see the growth in Cody from, like I said, from 7 years old to being able to spend 2.5 days on the water and traveling with him.
Yeah.
Really helped me out. And then also, I had a bearing go out down there. Dennis must have called Cody, and Cody called me. Hey, Matt, do you need any tools, any grease? You need any, whatever, hammers or whatever? And his mom brought him down there, and he helped me do some of that stuff there. So
that's cool.
Yeah, it was just really, really neat to be able to spend that time on the water with somebody that you've taken out very young at age and seeing the growth throughout the years. And now, like I said, they're backing you in the water. When you get back at the boat landing, they're jumping on the dock and running up and getting the boat and back in the trailer, back in the water for you. So
you kind of watched them grow up, Matt.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's one of my highlights from this year is being in the water with young Cody.
Yeah. I know you said you can kind of jab him a little bit about missing a fish. I know when we were down there filming, that was on that same Kentucky-Missouri trip. We met up with Dennis and Cody were in a different boat with Blaine, I think, and then you and Rob were in a different boat.
Yeah.
And we met up with them at some point in the afternoon, and Dennis made something about, Cody had one, he had a gar, it was about this big round. He said he darn near touching the boat, and he missed them, and Cody made something about okay, now it's grown 4 times the size as when it was when I first shot it, and it's gotten way closer to the boat, and Dennis is just kind of sitting there,
yep,
laughing, but it's all good-hearted, good humor, but yeah, like you said, that's kind of cool to be able to carry on a conversation with someone who's a little bit older like that. So, yeah, that's very cool. Okay, so my third highlight, Matt, is I think it was right after the Big 20. We had our employee bowfishing day.
That was before.
Was it before?
Yeah.
Okay, like a week before. It had to be close there.
No, it was in April.
Was it really in April? Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay. Well, then a couple weeks before.
But probably like 3.5, 4 weeks before the Big 20.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. I gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
And you took out a boat with a bunch of guys from work here the day before.
Yep.
And I remember that day was like 70s and cloudy.
Cloudy and windy. Yeah.
Windy, yeah. And you guys got on some fish. Everyone had a good time.
Yep.
And then the next day was you, me, Olivia here at work, and Aaron.
Right.
We went down there. And it was like, the high was like 92 and just blazing sun.
Yeah.
It was a sunstorm.
Right.
There. I mean, it was hot. Mm-hmm. But the buffs were spawning. Oh my God.
The fishing was hot too.
The fishing was hot.
The bow fishing was hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And I remember we got down there and we looked, and Olivia and Aaron had never been bow fishing before. Mm-hmm. And we pulled into our spot and we looked up and we saw we saw the pods of fish spawning. fish in there.
And you and I know what we're looking at.
Exactly.
But they don't. They don't have a clue.
Right. So you explain to them what is going on, and you kind of get this look of like, what?
Like, really? What are you guys even looking at?
They're in a foot of water, just slamming against each other, disrupting, going crazy. Well, yeah, they are. So kind of right before we got into where we wanted to shoot some fish, we rigged everybody up. We got Olivia a bow, we got Erin a bow, and Erin on her first shot.
Yeah, she did.
I'm like, oh, Erin, there's a common right down there, and she drew back and she took her time, and that fish was just kind of swimming alongside the boat, and I don't even know if she had shot a bow before. We're
sure.
bare bones showing her what she's doing. She draws back and she shoots and she smoked that fish. She absolutely smoked that fish. I'm thinking, oh my gosh! I think I was more excited about it than she was. That was so cool to just see her reaction. And then the fish starts going crazy and she's like, oh my god, okay, yep, let's bring him in, reel him in, and bring the line in, whatever. And we got the fish in the boat. Mm-hmm. That was really cool to see. And then throughout the day, I was shooting some fish, but then we kind of were just trying to focus on getting Olivia and Erin as much shooting as we possibly could.
Yep.
That was really cool. And I remember throughout the day, Olivia got so much better as the day went on. Pretty soon, she was seeing the fish way before we're pointing them out, and she's hitting fish way more than she was, when we started. And she started to really enjoy herself. That was cool to see. And that kind of experience is the kind of experience that will hook someone for the rest of their life. Mm-hmm. And I know a couple times we told them, just so you guys know,
it's not always like
this. It is not always like this. We hit it on the right day, right time of year. Everything worked out kind of perfectly there. But I know they were up on the deck holding fish up, and there's eggs running down their legs, and it was really cool to see two people who had never done it before, the joy that the sport has to offer for people who had never done it before. That was really, really cool to see from my point of view.
I remember one shot particularly on that trip. Erin was drawing back on some fish that were coming through the reed grass there, and I was like, had my cell phone, I was filming like over her shoulder.
Yep.
And she shot, and you can see the arrow going, you can see the eruption of water when she hit the fish, and she turns around with this look of, oh my gosh, look on her face.
Was it in slow-mo? Was it a slow-mo clip?
No, that wasn't in slow-mo.
Oh, okay.
No.
I think I know what you're talking about.
But it was just, the look on her face was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a classic, first time bowfisher slamming into a giant buff, and the water erupts, and they're like, what?
Yeah.
It was really cool.
Unscripted. We're not telling her to turn around and give us a big reaction.
No, it's the real stuff.
That was the real deal. Yeah, that was cool. I know it would be like to a point where Olivia would shoot a fish, and just to start out with, we'd go down there and we'd get the fish for him, and we'd take it out, put it in the barrel. And there was a couple times there where the fish were going, and she's like, "Hurry up, get the fish off. There's more up here." She wanted to get back to shooting. But that was cool. That's so cool to see that. That initial excitement,
no doubt,
if you will. So that's my third highlight. That wraps up my highlights. So
that's cool. So now I got to do my third one.
You do, yep.
This might be a combination of 3 and 4.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
But it's the same area.
Okay.
So we were contacted by the ATA, the Archery Trade Association.
Yeah.
They came on with a curriculum a couple years back called Explore Bowfishing, and it's a pretty thick book on how to run like bowfishing seminars and how to get people involved in the sport and the equipment that's used in the sport. And we were contacted by them earlier this year. They wanted to do some filming in certain regions on invasive species.
Yep.
All right, so they called us and they wanted us to do a segment on common carp. The deal is, it has to be filmed with kids.
Okay. Yep.
All right. So, of course, we have Stephanie here who have a couple of kids in high school, Garrett and Kayla.
Yep.
And so they said that we would be in contact from a producer. They hired their own filming crew and all this stuff. They just wanted us to have the boat and the kids and the equipment and take them out and do some filming.
Sure. Yep.
So I kind of said, she called me, the producer called me from Minneapolis there, and we set up a time and everything and where to meet and stuff and a date. And that's always, so now you have kids that have really never bowfished before. I've got some filming people coming in the boat that have never filmed bow fishing before. I know for kids to show to the excitement of bow fishing, we need to have fish.
Yeah, right.
We can't, you can't go out there and shoot 3 to 20 fish and have them excited about that.
And have a half-hour wait between each fish.
Right.
Then
right.
they might get bored.
And then you're always worrying about weather, stuff like that there. But we ended up going to Green Bay. It was around the 1st of June, sometime like that. And it was awesome.
It's a great way to put it.
It was unbelievable. What I think they all got for film, I have not seen their final cut, but I heard it was pretty awesome. Because this is not only is it an action showing us bow fishing for carp, but it's also a educational.
Yeah.
We had a film shooting at targets in the water. We had a film safety gear, safety equipment, and all that stuff there. And it was so cool because the fish cooperated so well. One of the segments that they wanted was wading and shooting fish. So I kind of had one spot figured out for that. We went there on the second day, and the carp were just erupting in water that was where their backs were out of the water, so the kids could get out and wade. And some of the footage that they got from that should be just unbelievable, and the kids were just having a great time. It was really, really cool. I actually did hear back from their production crew over there, Lindsay, and she said that it was awesome.
Good.
She said the video is going to be really cool. It's going to be action packed and a lot of good stuff in there. So I can't wait to kind of see that. So that was a really cool deal for the Archery Trade Association to get a hold of us to help make this video for educational purposes on bow fishing invasive species like that. So
Sure.
had a really good time. And then a part that kind of goes into that is right after the Big 20. We headed over to Green Bay as well, and we were the first night I was joined by the owner of AMS, the president, Cindy Brown.
And this
She
is
came up and
this
joined.
is just you guys shooting, correct? With a film crew, like you and Cindy getting some content. Okay.
Yep. And then we had Red Shutter Media with us. Our filming crew was with us, and we went out there. And I haven't been in the boat with Cindy in several years, and she hasn't bow fished in several years. And we got out there, and the giants were moving in.
Really?
I shot that 37-pound common
Oh, yeah,
that
that's
night.
right.
Cindy shot some giants, and the water was crystal clear, and
Oh,
it was just a
man.
really, really good time. And then the next night, I took out Stephanie, Garrett, and Kayla to kind of get a little. This was a week before we had to film for the ATA, so I took them out so they would kind of know a little bit about what we're going to be looking at,
Sure.
what we're going to be looking for, get some practice in. And that night was one of those nights where I didn't want to stop, but we had to stop because it was one of those nights where the fish that were coming in for pre-spawn just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's the pre-spawn, so you don't have a lot of fish in there right now, so the water is just like the ocean. It's like salt water.
Sure.
It's crystal clear. And these absolute giants are just coming in like crazy. It was actually, when we were leaving, they were coming in they were just coming in like by the hundreds.
Wow.
It was unbelievable. It really was something to see, and it's one of those nights where you're like, oh my gosh, this is crazy.
I know some of the footage that I saw from that. I'm guessing it was that night. It was nighttime footage.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
oof.
Because Stephanie and her kids, they had to leave that night to drive 2.5 hours back home. So I didn't want to keep them out till,
Right.
1, 2 in the morning. They get home at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, driving that long distance,
Yeah.
just them. So we left at 11 o'clock. And I remember fanning out of the shallows to get back to where I could start the outboard.
Mm-hmm.
And I was fanning wide open. And the fish that I was seeing was, it was amazing. Well, Garrett shot like a 32 or 33 pounder, and Kayla shot a 30 pounder, and I think I shot a 35, and it was just
Crazy.
It was just crazy.
That's crazy for a one-night deal to have
Yeah.
all that happen. I think, didn't they have to be to school the next day?
Yeah.
Wasn't that the
That's,
deal?
yeah, and that's why we kind of got off at 11:30, 10:30 or whatever we got
Yeah.
off the water at.
Yeah, I remember Steph left work here, 3 o'clock maybe, to run down there to
Right.
meet you guys. And Then she had to leave at 11 o'clock. You know, that's not much time to be down there to have to drive 4 or 5 hours.
Right.
And I remember the next day she said it was just wild.
Yeah, it was
totally worth the drive down there. And just to go back on you, the first part of that highlight, Matt, with the kids in front of the camera. Not only have those kids, you know, they're getting used to the boat and everything. They've never had to be in front of a camera.
Right.
You know? And I think, too, once you get comfortable with that, I think you having them down there previously before the ATA was down there, that was huge. Just to expose them to what to expect type of deal. I think that having kids on the boat and then producing something like what the ATA is going to produce, you know, let's see, a 13-year-old kid can watch a 40-year-old guy on a big boat bowfishing all he wants. But when he sees someone his same age doing the same deal, then it's like, oh my gosh, I could do this.
Right.
This is crazy.
Absolutely.
I think that really opens the eyes to kids more than it would, you know, say if it was just a couple of older people doing it. You know what I mean?
Right on.
I think that's a cool that's how it went down.
And you know how that is when you take a camera, not a cell phone, I'm talking a camera, and you point it at a kid. What do?
They freeze up.
Exactly.
They clam up. They don't know what to do.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's tough filming kids to show the excitement because you take that camera away, they are laughing. They're
being kids.
You throw that camera in front of their face.
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
So it's tough. And then, like I said, you got to get the fish to cooperate. And Kayla and Garrett did awesome.
Yeah.
They did excellent. They really, I believe they showed the fun of the sport of bow fishing out there for kids and for other kids to watch them.
Right.
They showed the fun and excitement of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's really cool as far as that goes. And we end up talking about it darn near on every podcast, man, just how important it is to expose kids to the sport.
Right.
You know, the most important generation, I say it a million times, is the next one. Keep the sport growing, keep it going, keep progressing.
Yep.
But yeah, that's really cool.
No doubt.
So I guess that probably wraps up our highlights, and Matt, we had to narrow them down. You especially, you could probably have a 10 highlight show.
And hopefully I get some more highlights because we got our big.
Yes.
I'm so looking forward to that, Derek. Actually, I think on this gator hunt I've shot 3 or 4 gators already, but I've never shot one with the crossbow.
Yep.
And I think I'm gonna shoot one on this trip with the AMS crossbow kits and everything.
Okay.
To kind of explain how the crossbow is used for big game bow fishing, the setup of the crossbow bolts, you know, how that bolt should be laying in your crossbow.
Sure.
You know, with the stopper on the back, the set screw on the back of there, and just kind of showing the crossbow being used because I've shot them with the compounds, but now I think I would like to just show the people, hey, you can also use a crossbow for you know, your big game bow fishing as well.
Right.
And then for us to be taking down Alyssa and Wendy right here in the office, like I said, anybody that calls in, you're talking to them right away.
Yeah.
And for them to experience the thrill of Florida gator hunting, you know, just the drive on the airboat is just awesome. And seeing some of the scenery down there, all the moss hanging off those trees and some of the rivers and different species that you see along with the gators. And then I'm going to be joined also by Jana Waller from Skullbound Chronicles. She's going to be joining us as well. She's going to be doing some filming for her show on Carbon TV as well. So really looking forward to it. Billy is getting everything set up down there with the guides. We've got places to stay down there. So hopefully awesome. I got a good memory. Not done yet for this year, Schmitty.
And when are you guys going, Matt? When are you leaving?
I'm flying out on September 18th.
18th, okay.
Opening weekend of bow hunting.
Oh, uh-oh. Some of those trail camera pictures you're showing me, that might be a little tough to swallow. You'll be getting those cell camera pictures out in the boat, but you're doing something just as cool. So.
Right. And then Wendy and Alyssa are flying out, I believe, on September 20th.
Okay, sure, sure. I think that's another thing, too, Matt. You mentioned how cool it'll be to have them down there. I hear them all the time on the phone. We have a good amount of people that call in and ask,
right?
Hey, will this crossbow work for your big game kit? How do I mount this? How does the bolt have to lay? And like you said, just having them experience that firsthand, that is going to be huge as far as being able to explain everything.
Right.
That'll be cool to see.
And the thing with crossbow, a lot of people use crossbows for big game, like a gator hunt. So the deal is right now there's so many different brands and styles of crossbows. It's hard to make something that's will fit onto every single brand of crossbows that's out there.
Right.
It's not like a riser of a bow. Those are pretty much all the same. You got your sight hole, you got your rest holes, and you got your riser.
Yep.
Everything can mount right to that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So actually, we got a new Mission Sub 1 Light crossbow in, and I did have to make modifications to that. What I did is the screw holes on the bottom of the front end, I removed them when the holes were too long for our adapter to fit on there.
Okay.
But what I did is I got a Picatinny rail, and I drilled the holes out so that they would fit with that. I mounted that Picatinny on there, and then I used the crossbow Picatinny rail adapter and mounted everything with that. So there might be some slight modifications you got to do to get that on every certain different types of crossbows, because like I said, there's hundreds of different crossbows out there right now in the market, and everyone is different. In the past, they used to just have the quiver holes. Well, now they use Picatinny rails. They have quivers here. They have quivers there. They have their own locking mechanisms for quivers, removal, mechanisms for quivers. So sometimes you might have to make adjustments and modifications, which I did, but it works just fine.
Yeah.
It works just fine.
I know we were dialing it in the back there, and it seems to be shooting that bolt beautifully.
It is.
I mean, you've got no fletching, of course, like you do with a traditional bolt or arrow. But everything seemed that the flight was nice. Everything seemed very good to go there.
I brought Wendy and Alyssa back there and to take some shots, and at that time we were just shooting a AMS crossbow bolt into the targets at 12, 11 yards.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. They were doing a great job. And then I ended up mounting the crossbow adapter on. I put the reel on. I tied the line to the arrow, and I was shooting it that way, and it did not change it one bit.
I was going to ask you about that. So after the L was on there, no problems at all?
No.
Good.
No,
that's awesome.
It's dialed right in.
Yeah. That's cool. That's really cool to know that there's not much difference there.
Yep.
That's cool.
Because, big gator hunting is here. Gator hunting is here.
Yeah. It's September.
And, I always say that if you do have a gator tag and you know you're going to be using bowfishing gear, get that gear in your hands way earlier than 4 days before your hunt.
Yeah.
You want to get familiarized with that gear. You want to practice with that gear. So if you're going on a gator hunt and you know you're going to be bowfishing with it, get your AMS gator kits, a whole month before you go on your hunt.
Right.
Get used to that stuff.
You don't, when you say you're whitetail hunting, you don't have a bare bow that you've had for a while, and then you order a sight and a rest and arrows and just use them the first time you go hunting.
Right.
You
release,
you shoot them. Right. Familiarize, like you said, familiarize yourself with your equipment. That's going to go a long way. I think also the confidence that goes into it.
Right.
When you're confident, when you have a weapon in your hands, that's huge. That's huge. If you're pulling that trigger and you're thinking, "Oh, I hope this is good," that's not good. But when you've practiced and you've got that muscle memory down, that can make all the difference in the world.
Yep.
So that's cool.
Right on.
I tell you what, Matt. Last podcast, I do not think we did one, but I have a quote for you.
I think I've only guessed one of these correctly.
And
so
actually,
far.
it was actually crazy that you got one, because the odds of you guessing this correctly are crazy. Now, I'm going to say this quote. I'm going to ask you to compare it to how you can do it in the sport of bowfishing. And then I also, when I read this quote, it hit home for me as well, because I got a little bit of an experience with it. So after you're done talking about it, I'll just go into a short little deal about how I relate to it as well.
Okay.
It stuck so much in my brain, I don't even have to look. I just know it. All right? Ready?
Yep.
Comparison is the thief of joy. Comparison is the thief of joy. Any guesses?
Michael Jordan.
Nope, not quite. Very close, though.
Is it a
Theodore
basket-
Roosevelt. You were this close. That was old Theo. Comparison is the thief of joy. How could you tie that into your bowfishing career?
You said you had an example?
I do. You want to hear mine first?
Yeah, I want to hear yours first. Comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah. Yep. When I first started working here, Matt, a buddy of mine, I worked here for 6 months, and I was like, holy cow, this is awesome. Buddy and I went in on a boat together, okay? We had all kinds of fun, putting a generator in it, lights, getting the motor running, the whole deal. It was fantastic. And I remember we went down, we were shooting a buff spawn one day, and we pulled into the lot, and there were 10 other bowfishing boats there, and we saw a ton of boats out on the water, and I remember thinking to myself, oh my gosh, our boat sucks. It was a tiny flat-bottom John boat, and I remember thinking, wow, this is like this is, I had so much fun setting it up, and then as soon as we started using it in an area, I'm like, oh my God, like for some reason, mentally at that point, I was like, oh my God, we don't know what we're doing. Our boat is tiny. It's got a crappy generator. The lights were 15 years old, you know. We only had 4 of them mounted on the boat. The deck was old, and you know, it was what we could afford as teenagers to slap on a boat.
It took your joy and excitement and all that of building it and all the fun you had building it together, and it just went.
Yep. And you know, we were down there at the lake we were at. You know exactly where it is. There's people come from all over the place. So I'm talking, there are airboats. There's boats just like the AMS boat down there. So I remember feeling so insecure about our boat. How would it perform? How are we going to get on fish like these guys can? I was comparing myself to people who were at a completely different stage of their bowfishing life.
Yep.
You know, and if I could go back today, and eventually we ended up using that boat. It was awesome for exactly what we wanted to use it for. We ended up selling it down the road. Just, you know, it just didn't have as much time to work on it and get out and whatnot. But if I could go back now, I wouldn't give a damn what everyone else's boat looked like.
Bingo.
Who cares? Just if it floats and it moves you around,
and if you love it,
and if it's what you can afford to put into it with your the money and the sweat equity that you're putting into it, who cares about that?
Absolutely.
So when I read that, you know, comparison is a thief of joy, I'm like, that hit home big time. Here I am comparing myself to people who have been shooting tournaments for 10 years, 15 years. They've made more money throughout their life. They know way more about it just because of where they are in their life. I'm like, okay, that was ridiculous of me to feel intimidated and feel like what we had wasn't good enough. So I read that one. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly, that hit home for me.
Absolutely.
So that's my example.
So kind of like robbed you of the joy.
It did. I remember pulling in there.
Pulled it away from you.
I remember when we filled up here in Stratford with gas in that boat, I stood outside that boat.
Your chest was all bing.
I was just strutting, you know. Yeah, people would be walking by, be like, yeah, this is my boat. Yeah, bowfishing boat. Yeah, you know, pulling it behind my dad's Toyota Tacoma at the time.
And you get it to the boat landing there, and
I'm like,
your chest went.
It deflated. Exactly. Yep, I went from 10 feet tall to 12 inches tall. And that was just so silly of me. And I didn't know it at the time, but just looking back now, that was just not something that if anyone is in that situation, for God's sake, don't feel like you got to have top of the line. It's all about where you're at in your life. So that's what my example of comparison is, the thief of joy.
Yep. And that would kind of run right along with mine, Derrick. You go to a tournament, all right? Be yourself. Be you. Don't change.
Yeah.
Just be yourself. You know, enjoy what you have. Enjoy the friends that you have. Because if you try to be somebody different, I can't tell you how often you can read that on somebody's face instantly.
Yep.
You can just tell that that's not who they are. They're trying to show just a little too much.
Yeah.
Do not compare yourself to others.
Yeah.
Be yourself. When you see, you know, one thing that I always sense that I see is exactly what you were talking about, Derrick. I'll see a little boat at a boat launch coming out of the water, and there'll be a bigger boat there with a bunch of guys standing around there. And that little boat will pull up, you know, and there'll be a couple kids getting out of it. Man, go. The guys that actually have the bigger boats think that they're better than that person.
Yeah.
Go over there and talk to them.
Right.
Hey guys, you have a good time tonight? That's going to lift their spirits so much because they already feel like exactly how you felt. They feel a little shallow already by them pulling up this little boat. Like I said, you know, that's our next group of bowfishers that are coming up. Don't make them feel bad. Don't compare yourself to others. Just be yourself.
Yeah.
And it'll go on forever like that for you.
Yep. Yep. And then if you have that situation happen where you pull up in a small boat, like you just said, the guy next to you's got a big airboat. He comes over and is talking to you like you guys are complete equals, which is exactly what you should do. Guess what you're going to do 20 years from now when you got the big boat and you're shooting all the time and some kids pull up to you.
Right.
You're going to treat them the same way that you were treated when you were that age.
I sure would hope so.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure you could probably, I mean, when you first started shooting tournaments, Matt, and you'd come into weigh-ins and you'd get blown out of the water. Okay, you wouldn't place in this tournament.
Yep.
I'm sure there had to be a some kind of comparison factor going on there, thinking,
No doubt.
my gosh, what am I doing? I'm so overwhelmed. These guys know so much more than me.
No doubt.
You know?
I'll actually, Derek, I'll never forget the first time Cindy and Jeff told me to go to a tournament
Okay.
and pull the AMS boat, not my little tracker Grizzly that I had set up, you know. I had to pull the AMS boat down to Kentucky for Worlds.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, I pull in there with the F-250 Super Duty, you know, and pulling the AMS boat and stuff
Wrapped
in there.
boat.
I felt very, very odd.
Yeah.
I felt very strange. It was out of my territory. But one thing that I do not think that I did change was my personality.
Sure.
With just going up and talking to people.
Yeah.
Like I said, be yourself.
Yeah.
I did. I felt very strange. I felt like people were kind of like, oh, here, you know, look at
Big Shot AMS here.
And that's not how I wanted to feel.
Right.
So, you know, now I go into tournaments here and I get out and I try to talk to everybody that I can possibly talk to.
Right.
And just, like I said, be yourself, enjoy life, enjoy bow fishing.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Don't let the comparison factor play too big of a role.
That's it, Schmitty.
51 minutes.
That right there is our cue that episode 44 will be closing shop soon.
Yep. That's a wrap. Roll the tape.
Roll the tape. So from all of us here at AMS Bowfishing, we wish you the best of luck. Get out there on the water. Enjoy the sport of bowfishing. Join the bowfishing club. Join the Bowfishing Association of America. Get out on the water and have some fun bowfishing, baby. We love it. From all of us at AMS Bowfishing, best of luck on the water. Remember, aim low.
Think big. Thanks for listening, guys.